New Jersey State Assemblyman John Amato discusses legislation important for our region, and Atlantic City Fire Department Local 198 discusses their struggles. It's all here on the next Latino Motion. Join us.
Choose to get lost in the woods to gain experience in forest management.
Choose to travel through time to understand the past.
Choose to soar to pursue a career in dance.
Stockton University offers 50 high-quality academic programs, small class sizes, and affordable tuition. Choose to match your interests and talents at one of New Jersey's nationally ranked universities.
Latino Motion with Bert Lopez is presented by Latino Motion Public Affairs Media, a New Jersey nonprofit corporation, and Stockton University. This edition of Latino Motion with Bert Lopez is brought to you by the HD Studios at the campus of Stockton University. Funding for Latino Motion is provided by Atlanticare, a member of Geisinger, Atlantic City Electric, energy for a changing world, and South Jersey Gas. Welcome to Latino Motion, a weekly interview show highlighting issues impacting New Jersey's Latino community while advancing understanding of Latino cultural heritage and contributions to our society. And here is your host, Bert Lopez.
Buenos dias and welcome to Latino Motion. I'm happy to have Assemblyman John Amato for the first time here on the show to discuss a few common sense bills that would be beneficial for our residents in our region. And Assemblyman, thanks for coming on the show. Love to have you here.
Thank you for inviting me. Always a pleasure, Bert.
I know you've been in office for a little bit over a year, so I'm happy to have you now here join us on Latino Motion.
Thank you.
There's a lot of common sense bills out there that are pending, and one of them is this whole idea of a panic alarm for hotel workers. Tell me about that.
We found out that some of the workers they would be harassed, some even physically assaulted. Then they had no way to get contact out, especially if you're in the middle of the afternoon, say, you're all the way at the end of one of the hallways on the 16th floor. It's difficult.
We're talking about a resort communities like Atlantic City and others where
Right.
you do have a large Latino population that is working there, and a lot of them are working by themselves.
Right. We had, once we got the idea and we had the bill drafted, Local 54, we went up on a bus trip, Vince and I, to Trenton, with some of their representatives, and they told us some stories that are pretty horrific. Things that happen in the rooms, around the rooms. So this idea of a panic device is, to me, should have been done probably a long time ago. But I have an excellent staff. They researched it and they found that Chicago already has it, Seattle has it, and Las Vegas has it. But when this passes, and I'm very confident this will pass, this will be the first in the state this will be the first state to have it in the union. So It's all good. It's a simple device. Basically, what you see on TV for, say, elderly people, you hit it, you should go to a central dispatch and they can get help.
So this is applicable for any property that has 100 rooms or more?
Yes, sir.
And it would be paid by the property, not the employee?
Correct. And it's something that could be, as the shift changes, they just take it off of there and put it on to the next person. It's not that everybody has to have one. It also has another benefit in that housekeepers usually are the first to see things. So they see smoke or they'll see a man down or something like that. So it's beneficial not only to protect them, but to protect the hotel as well.
Yeah, the good idea. Is also another common sense bill.
Yes.
Tell us about the airport. Where
the airport, the governor signed our proposal that we're going into law that it's make Jersey growth zone around 1 mile around the whole airport.
And this is the Atlantic City Airport.
Atlantic City Airport, correct. That will bring in developers and with tax credits or tax abatements that will be beneficial to them to start a business there. We're in the process now of lining up some people, but once again, the airport is so underutilized that it makes common sense to use it. One of the longest runways on the East Coast. It could have took the space shuttle in an emergency. That's how long the runway is. We have one carrier there now. We're proceeding to have maybe another carrier come in. Stockton has an aerospace building out there that's coming to be finished now, and they'll be having tenants in there. So we're looking at this to be some type of a aerospace hub, either with schooling or mechanics. I think that diversifying Atlantic County is the key here. We know what happens when we have problems in Atlantic City.
And certainly, this is a good hub to bring that economic development here to our region. We want to continue. We have a lot more to cover. We'll be right back with more Latino Motion. Welcome back to Latino Motion. Well, once again with Assemblyman John Amaro to discuss some of the important bills pending in Trenton. We discussed the airport, very important for the growth of our region.
Yes.
One of the things that we had going for us was the train to Atlantic City, nice feature, and that was suspended. Tell me what's the latest.
Well, we'll take it from when it stopped. It stopped in September. And in September, they had to retrofit the cars and the engines and the rails themselves with this new device that stops the train if it senses something in front of it.
Right, this is a federal mandate.
Federal mandate. The curious thing about this is that when NJ Transit did this, they suspended rail service from September to the first part of January. This was the only rails that they had shut down. They completed all this work in every other rail service throughout New Jersey and never shut their lines down. So, we should have knew something was up then. Then came January. They were compliant. They got a little of extension to do it, but they are compliant. And now comes the problem of why isn't our trains running? Assemblyman Mazzio and myself was on a call with them, and they're talking their second quarter now, which might be March. Yeah. But even to that, they cannot give us a date. And the funny thing that I find is they can't tell us why they can't give us a date. So if they told us that our cars aren't compliant, or we don't have enough conductors, whatever their reason would be, just let us know. But there is nothing coming forth from them.
Hopefully you'll stay on top of it and get us an answer. That's an important line for us.
It is, and people think that only coming this way. But there's a lot of residents in the area that go to Philadelphia for doctor's appointments, right, or jobs themselves. So just as many people going as coming, so it's beneficial both ways.
Very convenient too.
It is.
Tell me about the minimum wage.
Minimum wage is slowly coming together. The final bill is in the midst of being done, and it's going to be a very, very slow rollout. But we're looking to maybe do a couple of carve-outs. We're looking at farm labor. We're looking at seasonal workers on the boardwalk, or seasonal workers anywhere for that matter. So we're trying to give their businesses enough time to gear up for this, but it's going to come.
So right now, the proposal is $15 an hour?
It's $15 an hour, but like I said, it's a very, very slow rollout. The rollout could be maybe 5 years to get to 15. But we should start seeing the finished bill very, very soon.
I know you're seeing some resistance from businesses, but there's also, on the other side, a lot of advocates to
Correct.
Continue with the movement.
Yes, and we all know that the minimum wage has to be put up somewhere. How local businesses will handle that, time will tell. But we're seeing probably, I'm going to say the next session, we'll see that, and we'll probably end up voting on it shortly.
What's your stance on this bill?
It's not an easy decision to make because on the one hand you're looking at like small businesses, and the other way you look at it, it's a great bill because it's going to bring up wages, which means more wages, means more people can do things with the money. So as it stands right now, I'm leaning towards voting for it, but we'll see on Thursday. Sometimes there's some changes in it, but we'll have to wait until Thursday to see.
It's certainly beneficial for a lot of the
Yes, it will
low-income working folks.
Yes, it will.
Thank you so much. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to talk a little bit more. We'll be right back with more Latino Motion.
Latino Motion with Bert Lopez is presented by Latino Motion Public Affairs Media, a New Jersey nonprofit corporation. Join us online at www.latinomotion.tv. Find us on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. We encourage your comments and contributions for show topics.
Welcome back to Latino Motion, and once again with Assemblyman John Amardo, and we're going to discuss some other important bills. And one of the things that obviously is top of your list and throughout the state is the marijuana bill. Tell me about that.
Well, there's two ways to look at that. There's medical marijuana is one aspect of it, and they're finding more and more things that this would help. And then
There's been some bills passed to help improve that.
Yes. As a matter of fact, it's widening out for who could apply for it.
Okay.
And then there's the recreational marijuana. That bill is about 100 pages long, and I haven't lifted all the way through it, but I just have several questions. One for police: how do you check someone?
Right.
With alcohol, it's easy. Do a breath test. Businesses that now require drug testing, are they still going to require drug testing and not do the marijuana if that becomes legal? CDL drivers, they have zero tolerance. So unfortunately, if they have, which is legal marijuana on a Saturday night, they go to work on a Monday morning, that's still in their system. Not that it would impair them, but if anything unfortunate happens, that's going to come up. So how do they handle that? How do they say, if it's been this long into your system, now is you being impaired? So these are a couple of questions that we have.
Are these some of the issues that other states have basically ignored?
I don't know if they ignore them. I know Colorado, their homeless rate is going up significantly. Emergency visits by children under 5, up 25%. Fatal accidents, up 12%. And if you look at that, Colorado, you could drive for a day and not see another car. New Jersey is one of the most congested states in the union. So if they're doing that in Colorado, what does that translate to here? And once again, how do you tell?
So there's still a lot of unanswered questions about this bill.
I still have a lot of unanswered questions, yes.
Is it going for a vote soon?
I think maybe next month, but I'm not really sure about that. So I would have to check.
There's another bill that obviously still has a lot of questions, and that is the licenses for undocumented workers. I know that there have been a number of advocates on this show promoting that, and it would create a two-tier system. Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, it's a way to legitimize their driving. So if they're driving now without a license, this would give them a license. They would give them some identification so they know who they are, where they live, things like that. You said it best. They would tend to stay in an accident instead of fleeing because they didn't have a driver's license at all. So that aspect, it seems to be a good idea. But we can go on the other side and we could talk for hours and hours about legalization or becoming citizens and all that
Right.
too. But
Right. This doesn't address the
Exactly.
the immigration issue, but it certainly provides that cushion, if you will, so that there are more safety on the road,
correct.
so to speak.
You know, insurance-wise and everything like that, I think would all blend in together. I think that would be a good idea.
And I think a lot of folks ignore the reality of that our folks driving without license. This would certainly help.
Exactly.
Go a long
Exactly.
way. Assemblyman, thank you so much
Thank you for having me.
being here on the show, and I hope to have you back soon.
Thank you.
We're going to be right back with more Latino Motion. Welcome back to Latino Motion. With a reduced force and operating with outdated equipment, the Atlanta City Fire Department, Local 198, is voicing their concerns. Joining me is John Varello, president of Local 198, and Alex Cadavi to discuss this very important issue. Gentlemen, welcome to Latino Motion.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having us.
So I know you're having some issues in Atlanta City with the state takeover. Obviously, tell me about the impact.
The impact has been severe, not only to the membership, but to the community. Basically, within a 6-month window, we've had our salaries slashed, our hours increased over 33%. Our call volume is up 33%, and that's caused a wear and tear and fatigue on the members that have to go out and provide the services, as well in the equipment. Our equipment is breaking down, our apparatuses are outdated, our firehouses are falling apart.
Well, let's talk about the numbers, right?
Okay.
What was the number prior to the current reduction? What is the number now?
When I came onto the job, the number now is 187. When I came onto the job, it was 272. So we've taken almost roughly close to 100 guys. Have almost we've attrited down to that number of 187.
So what does that reduction mean to you?
The reduction is it's for my own safety and the safety of my other fellow firefighters. Knowing that when we're going into a fire or any situation that's hazardous, we know that we don't have that manpower to support that it's still outside the structure. Let's just say for a fire, for instance. If I'm inside the fire, it's so much safer to operate knowing that I have the same amount of firefighters outside in case the building collapses or in case I get trapped inside. I know I have enough firefighters that can come in, breach a wall, get through, provide whatever tools are necessary to get me out of the fire. Without those resources, it makes the job a lot more difficult and dangerous.
Now, I know that you mentioned equipment. So in Atlanta City, the equipment's not part of operating budget, but obviously you have to pass a bond or something to get additional capital, and that hasn't happened in a while, correct?
Correct. Yeah, the last time we bought an apparatus was a few years ago, but for the most part, our fleet averages around 13 to 15 years. But remember, we have a high call volume in Atlantic City, so our apparatus takes a beating a lot faster than some of the other surrounding municipalities because we do, 8,000, 9,000 calls a year. So it's the constant wear and tear of it starting up, driving, coming back, and it takes a beating after a while.
That also includes mutual aid that you provide to other surrounding towns?
Yes, I mean we all have mutual aid agreements amongst each other, but we've been down to Cape May, we've been to Hamilton, we've gone over to Brigantine, Margate, Ventnor, and all the surrounding areas. We have a hazmat and a rescue team which would assist with any major incident in the county, and even like I said, even as far as down as Cape May. So yeah, we do provide services to other people outside of Atlantic City.
So what has been the morale like for the fire department?
The morale has been difficult, to say the least. I mean, there's just a breakdown. A lot of it starts with, although we still have some great leaders, but our force has been reduced. We've lost so many leaders that we haven't been able to replace them. And a lot of times what the administration ends up replacing them with is with actors. And when you have an actor, you necessarily don't have all that authority that's really given to someone who's actually been given that promotion from an authority. So that affects, and it just trickles down all the way to the manpower from just the lack of supervision, the extra hours that we're working.
It's certainly difficult times, right? And we want to talk about the scope of the work that you do. We want to take a quick break. We'll be right back with more Latino Motion. Welcome back to Latino Motion. Joining me once again is John Borrello and Alice Cadavi of the Atlanta City Fire Department, Local 198. And gentlemen, we're talking about some of the serious issues that the fire department is facing with reduction in manpower and certainly outdated equipment. Let's talk about the impact that has had on promotions and so forth. I know that you were starting to talk a little bit about that you have a lot of acting roles, and what's the impact of that?
So currently I'm an acting captain, and we also have acting battalion chiefs.
And you've been acting for 3 years.
I've been acting for about going on 3 years now.
And I know John shared that you're a vet with 23 years experience, and yet you're in this acting position.
Yes, sir.
Can't get promoted because of the state takeover.
Yes, sir. And the importance, I mean, just from my military background, I know the importance of having leaders, and leaders that have actually been appointed by some type of authority. It makes all the difference in the world. People are going to want to follow that. In our case, with the actors, people don't know how long you're going to be there for. You could be there temporarily for another month, and then they'll have another actor.
And certainly it'd be great to have another Latino captain on the force. And let's talk about the day-to-day, right? Because you guys aren't just fighting fires all the time. Tell me a little more about your role.
Okay, well, our role in the community, I mean, we're involved in everything from charities, whether it's collecting toys for children during the Christmas time, food drives, handing out turkeys. We're very involved with the local churches and local community organizations. But the fire department is more than just fires, though. We have EMS we provide, motor vehicle extrication, all of our rescue, whether it's search and rescue, elevator rescue, confined space. EMS is a big component, obviously, with the opiate epidemic right now. We're extremely busy with all that stuff. So.
Often a first responder, obviously, but you also do day-to-day to improve the safety of the community. Tell me a little bit more about that.
Well, fire prevention is very big in that, whether it's a smoke detector drive, whether we're at the schools and we're educating the children, or even the public about, at some of the high-rise complexes on how to respond if they should have a fire, the proper protocol, and how to exit the buildings, etc. So we do a lot in the community as far as education goes regarding the fire service and how we operate.
Now, obviously, you've been a firefighter for quite some time. If someone was looking to be a firefighter as a career, obviously, limitations in Atlantic City, but just in general in other communities, what would be your recommendation?
Well, my recommendation would be if we can get the proper staff within the fire department, so we can go back to having recruiters that can hit the streets, so that the personnel that are local citizens, first of all, are aware that these jobs exist, so that they can know what their requirements are. There's a lot of communities right now that they're just pretty much blocked off and they have no idea how to even attain a job, which is, I think, something that we used to do a pretty decent job at before, but after all the budget cuts and the manpower, there's positions that are just not being filled, which prevents us from properly advertising to our community.
All right. So you guys certainly appreciate the time to come out and talk about some of the serious issues. What message would you give to residents? I mean, you guys are still on duty. You're still protecting the public.
Right. My members are going to perform their duties 100%. We're never going to abandon. We're always going to show up no matter what's happening to us. So they're going to get 100% of our dedication no matter what. The only thing that we ask in return is that they turn around and they support us. Just know that we're there for them in their time of need, in their emergencies. And, in unfortunate times like this, we may call and might need their support.
Thank you so much for coming here on the show. And thank you once again for joining us here on Latino Motion.
Choose to get your feet wet, to learn more about protecting our environment.
Choose to read minds, to understand the human brain.
Choose to get your hands dirty, to create a masterpiece.
Stockton University offers 50 high-quality academic programs, small class sizes, and affordable tuition. Choose to match your interests and talents at one of New Jersey's nationally ranked universities.
Funding for Latino Motion is provided by Atlanticare, a member of Geisinger; Atlantic City Electric, energy for a changing world; and South Jersey Gas.